chapter Unknown Power. He really doesn't know when to stop. Wu Tao shook his head lightly, muttering to himself. Surpassing him by 3 realms, the disadvantages in Nie Hong's physique had been completely compensated for.
The overflowing spiritual energy was constantly bombarding Nie Tian's entire body with the residual force of lightning. There was no need to continue this battle otherwise. If it continues, Nie Tian might suffer serious injuries, even affecting him for life.
Nishan frowned and said, the clan encourages fighting, but it shouldn't be excessive. Mr. Wu, what do you think? Should we stop their fight? If the fight continues, Nie Tian will likely suffer a great loss. Wu Tao opened his mouth to call out,
but suddenly felt a gaze, distant yet focused, falling upon him. He subconsciously looked towards the source of the gaze. In the southwest corner of the plaza, Nie Hong's grandfather, Nie Tian, had appeared without anyone noticing.
Nie Tian stood with his hands behind his back, seemingly aware of his intention to call a halt, gazing at him with profound meaning. Wu Tao's expression shifted slightly. His open mouth produced no sound, instead a light sigh escaped his heart.
He was a guest elder of the Nie family, specifically recruited by Nie Tian. He knew very well that Nie Donghai's days were numbered. It would be long before Nie Tian took his place, if he wanted to stay in the Nie family.
He had to adapt to the situation and know what to do at the right time. Mr. Wu. Nishan let out a soft call, then followed Wu Tao's gaze and saw Nie Tian in the distance. Some things you and I can't control.
Wu Tao patted Nishan's shoulder and said softly, do your best. I hope you can break through to the 9th level of Q refinement as soon as possible and gain the favor of Lingyan sect. You're just a branch of the Nie family.
Only by becoming a disciple of Lingyan sect will you have a voice in the Nie family. A trace of disgust appeared on Nishan's youthful face, but he nodded rationally and said nothing more. On the high platform of the stone hall,
Nie Donghai's face suddenly darkened. He also noticed his younger brother, Nie Tian, and perceptively understood why Wu Tao had stopped the fight. Is it because I refused to abdicate? Nie Donghai secretly resented. Bang bang bang, with renewed vigor.
Nie Hong, finally seeing victory within reach, launched another attack on Nie Tian. Points of bright green light, channeled through his fists, continuously surged into Nie Tian's body. Nie Tian's 2 hands had turned bluish-black,
and wisps of green smoke constantly drifted from between his fingers. The clothes on his arms burst apart, and thin streaks of green electric light, like tiny snakes, seemed to writhe within his bare arms. More and more lightning bolts,
penetrating and converging repeatedly, now formed threads within his body. Thump thump. Nie Tian retreated incessantly. Under Nie Hong's relentless bombardment, each of his movements became increasingly stiff and weak. He was oblivious to pain.
Although his forehead was covered in sweat, his eyes shone like bright stars in the night sky, filled with a profound and mysterious aura. You're finished, ha! Nie Hong laughed excitedly.
Crackling fist bypassed Nie Tian's stiff arms and slammed into his chest. No! Wu Tao involuntarily exclaimed. Nie Hong, stop! Nishan couldn't help but shout. On the high platform, Nie Donghai's face was covered in sweat, his breathing ragged.
He seemed even more exhausted than Nie Tian. His eyes were as gloomy as still water, fixed on the composed Nie Tian below, desperately hoping to hear a word of intervention from him. Nie Tian remained silent. Knock knock knock.
Nie Tian's heartbeat quickened and grew louder. As Nie Hong's fist hurtled toward his chest, he felt a surge of power about to erupt within him. But when he tried to harness this power, he couldn't sense it, couldn't grasp it.
All he felt was the pain and stiffness in his body. A wave of despair and anger washed over him, anger at this power's defiance. Thump, thump, thump. Under the weight of this volatile despair, his heartbeat accelerated again, unbeknownst to him.
In the blink of an eye, his heart was beating at twice its normal rate. At that moment, a roar, a jubilant cry, seemed to erupt from his very flesh and organs. Nie Hong's residual electric current, at this moment, could no longer affect him in the slightest.
A tremendous, raw power surged wildly from within him. Whoosh! With a sudden movement, he seized Nie Hong's wrist with pinpoint accuracy. Just before Nie Hong's fist could connect with his chest, Nie Hong's hand was mere inches from his chest.
Yet it could advance even a fraction further. The abruptly halted momentum left Nie Hong, whose face had been alight with excitement, suddenly bewildered. As if unsure what had just happened, the next moment, Nie Tian abruptly raised his leg,
delivering a powerful kick to Nie Hong's abdomen. Bang! Nie Hong's hand remained firmly grasped, preventing him from breaking free. Under the force of the kick, Nie Hong's lower body swung wildly into the air like a pendulum. As Nie Hong's lower body
was violently pulled back by inertia, Nie Tian retracted his leg, driving his knee with brutal force into the lower part of Nie Hong's ribcage. Crack! Arr!
The sound of breaking bones and Nie Hong's blood-curdling scream rang out almost simultaneously. Only then did he release Nie Hong's wrist, pausing with a look of astonishment, attempting to calmly assess the source of that sudden, overwhelming force.
As the immediate danger passed and his state of mind shifted, his racing heartbeat, which had doubled in speed, gradually returned to normal. The surge of power that had just erupted seemed to dissipate instantly throughout his limbs, leaving no trace. Strange.
Nie Tian didn't even glance at Nie Hong, his brow furrowed, completely lost in his own world. However, was convulsing, his body curled up like a giant shrimp, lying on the ground with ear-splitting cries that shook the eardrums.
Nie Tian's face was full of astonishment. How could this be? Wu Tao stared blankly at the pensive Nie Tian and the continuously wailing Nie Hong, his expression bewildered. All the young men of the Nie family who had been watching,
seeing the sudden reversal of the situation, were also shocked and at a loss. Xuanhuan, who had previously shouted that he would teach Nie Tian a lesson after Nie Hong, now looked at the wretched Nie Hong with fear in his eyes, his body shrinking back slightly.
Nie Tian, his fists bruised and black, with smoke still rising from between his fingers, stood straight and tall, forming a stark contrast to the fallen Nie Hong, whose cries echoed thunderously. In that instant,
a lasting shadow seemed to settle in the depths of Nie Tian's heart. On the high stone platform, after experiencing overwhelming grief and then overwhelming joy, Nie Donghai felt completely drained. His thin, weary body leaned heavily against the stone platform.
His eyes, like a dying ember flaring back to life, fixed intently on Nie Tian, radiating an unusual light. Chapter 7, The Price of Victory. Audacious, seeing his grandson fall gravely wounded,
Nie Beichuan could no longer contain himself and abruptly lunged forward. A flash of light, and Nie Beichuan had already darted to Nie Hong's side. He knelt, lifting Nie Hong and placing a large hand on his abdomen and chest.
Nie Hong felt a warm current of spiritual energy gently flowing around his chest, easing his pain. He involuntarily whimpered, "Grandpa." Nie Beichuan looked up, his gaze dark and chilling as he stared at Nie Tian, who still looked dazed.
Sensing the unknown power, "Damn you," he snarled, "clan rules don't forbid fighting, but who permitted you to use such vicious methods?" Before Nie Tian could react, he turned his resentful gaze to Wu Tao, who was visibly embarrassed. "And you?"
As a guest elder in the arena, what were you doing? You clearly saw Nie Tian strike with lethal intent. Why didn't you stop him immediately? Did we hire you to eat for free? This, Wu Tao replied with a wry smile, "Second grandpa."
Nie Hong was the one who tried to hurt first. "It's not Mr. Wu's fault," Nie Tian interjected, trying to defend Wu Tao. He saw everything clearly. When Nie Hong was about to strike at Nie Tian's heart, he noticed Wu Tao glancing at Nie Beichuan,
seeking his approval, but Nie Beichuan remained silent, clearly unwilling to intervene. Later, when Nie Tian suddenly erupted, seemingly empowered by some newfound strength, everything happened too fast. Wu Tao had no time to stop him. Nie Tian, still a youth,
knew it was unwise to speak up for Wu Tao, but his conscience wouldn't let him stay silent. "When did it become your turn to speak?" Nie Beichuan sneered, glancing sideways at Nie Tian. "Who do you think you are? You're just a branch member of the Nie family.
If you want a voice in the family, wait until you break through to the 9th level of Qi refinement and join the Lingyan sect before speaking to me again." These words ignited anger on Nie Tian's youthful face, but after a moment's thought, he swallowed his words.
He understood, as Wu Tao had said, that before becoming a disciple of the Lingyan sect, he simply didn't carry enough weight in the Nie family, especially since Nie Beichuan was likely to replace Nie Donghai as the head of the Nie family within a year or two.
Many of the Nie family's younger members, those with hearts still pure and a sense of justice, had intended to speak up, to reveal the truth as Nie Tian had planned, but seeing even Nie Tian, the strongest and most promising among them,
cowed by Nie Beichuan's presence, they too fell silent, their resentment palpable. "Second grandfather, it was Nie Hong who challenged me. He was the one who violated family rules first, attacking my vital points." Nie Tian, recovering from his daze,
grasped the situation and stood tall, his voice righteous. "Grandfather, I only wanted to frighten him. I didn't intend to seriously injure him." Nie Hong gritted his teeth, glaring fiercely at Nie Tian, trying to justify himself.
"I'd already reduced my strength before it hit his chest. I was about to retract it. I never expected him to take advantage of the situation and attack me when I let my guard down. Shameless!"
Most of the Nie family children watching secretly despised Nie Hong's distortion of the facts. They had all seen clearly the excitement and ecstasy in Nie Hong's eyes during his final strike. There was no sign of him holding back at all.
Nie Hong had intended to severely injure Nie Tian to wash away the shame of being repeatedly defeated by him over the years. He had clearly given it his all, so how could he have given up halfway? "You know exactly what you were trying to do!" Nie Tian shouted.
Nie Beichuan's stern voice cut off Nie Tian. Then he coldly looked at Wu Tao and said, "The process is irrelevant. The result is that Nie Tian, clan rules, used vicious methods to injure Nie Hong. Mr. Wu,
you are a guest elder of the Nie family. According to clan rules, how should Nie Tian be punished? Banishment to the Lingyan mountain mines for 3 years." Wu Tao softly replied, his heart filled with bitterness and helplessness, his eyes full of apology.
Nie Tian is only 10 years old. to be banished to the Ling insect mines at 10. 3 years would ruin him. His cultivation progress was already slow, and 3 more years in the mines would likely extinguish any hope of gaining Ling insect's favor.
10 years old, banished to the mines for 3 years, Nie Tian is truly finished. Well, there's no way he'll reach the 9th level of refinement before he's 15 and be accepted as a disciple by the Ling insect. It's not that simple.
People die in the mines all the time. Nie Tian is only 10 and has been in the mines for 3 years. I doubt he'll even make it out alive. That's too harsh. The young members of the Nie family, who hadn't dared to speak up until now, protested at the punishment.
Many who disliked Nie Tian couldn't help but voice their objections. Are you all so excited? Do you all want to spend 3 years in the mines like Nie Tian? Nie Tian said calmly. The indignant Nie family youths fell silent after hearing this.
And fear. Fine. 3 years. So what? Nie Tian yelled defiantly. Mr. Wu, let's handle this according to family rules. Nie Tian said indifferently. Second brother, Nie Tian is still young. Do we really have to do this?
At that moment, Nie Donghai hurried down from the stone platform in the hall. In the past, upon hearing Nie Tian's punishment, he would have leaped down and landed in the square instantly. But now, he could only descend step by step,
requiring a great deal of energy to arrive before the situation deteriorated beyond repair. Patriarch Wu Tao respectfully addressed him. Grandfather. Grandfather. You must uphold justice. Grandfather.
We all saw it, the truth isn't like that. Many children, seeing his arrival, breathed a sigh of relief and began clamoring. Nie Tian frowned slightly, his expression serious as he said, Big brother, every family has its rules, every country its law.
Even though you are the patriarch, family rules cannot be broken. I'm not the patriarch anymore. Nie Donghai said softly. The moment these words left his lips, everyone present was stunned. Nie Tian also looked bewildered.
But a flash of unrestrained joy was evident in his eyes. Big brother! What do you mean? I'm tired and I no longer have the energy to manage the Nie family. You know my situation. Before, I wanted to use the family's power to get justice for Tuna and Jaina.
So I stubbornly refused to relinquish my position. Nie Donghai's expression was desolate. But I've come to terms with it now, and I intend to give it up. From now on, the Nie family is in your hands. Second brother. Brother, how can that be?
You still hold great prestige within the clan, Nie Tian said insincerely. Nie Donghai waved his hand, interrupting him, his tone firm. My mind is made up. Tomorrow, I will explain this to all the uncles and elders. I believe they will understand.
Feigning sympathy. If elder brother is determined, I won't persuade you further. Rest assured, brother, I will keep Tuna and Jainer's matter in mind. I consider them my own children and will do my best to seek justice for them.
Nie Donghai looked at him deeply, nodded and said, Nie Tian is still young, I hope. Forget it, I must give face to elder brother. I won't pursue this matter further. Nie Tian smiled faintly. Then so be it. Nie Donghai, exhausted in body and spirit,
turned to Nie Tian and said, Come with me. With that, he strode towards the edge of the square. His back was filled with the desolate air of a fading hero. Wu Tao and the other Nie family youths watched him walk away,
their hearts clear that the era of Nie Donghai's control over the Nie family had ended today. Nie Tian said nothing, silently following behind Nie Donghai, his face grim, just as he was about to disappear from the square.
Turning to look at the spirited Nie Tian, his fists clenched tightly. At 10 years old, he was already of an age to understand. He naturally understood that Nie Donghai's voluntary relinquishment of his position today was all for him.
Chapter Xuanhuan 8 Sudden Illness. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Leaving the square and arriving at a rockery pavilion, Nie Donghai had just paused when Nie Tian softly apologized. Nie Donghai turned around, and as Nie Tian approached, he smiled and patted his head.
Freynapa's tired. It's time for him to rest. Grandpa, if I hadn't acted rashly, you could have. Nie Tian murmured. No. Nie Donghai knew what he wanted to say, shook his head and softly explained. Even without this incident,
I had planned to retire. For these past few years I've been blinded by hatred, devoting too much energy to revenge. Unfortunately, the Nie family isn't a particularly powerful family, and even with the family's resources, I still couldn't find that bastard.
Pausing, Nie Donghai sighed, adding perhaps even if I did find that guy, there's nothing I could do. I know clearly how the Yun family treated your aunt. And the Yin family is right here in Haiyan City, but what can I do? I'm old, and my health
is deteriorating. Rather than wasting unnecessary energy, it's better to spend more time with you. Grandpa, I'll be more sensible from now on, and I'll definitely stop fighting with Nie Hong. When I get stronger, I'll help Big Aunt get justice from the Yun family.
Nie Donghai smiled and nodded, looking deeply at him, his expression shifting, and said seriously, Just now, you were clearly about to collapse. Why did you suddenly have the strength to inflict such a heavy blow on Nie Hong?
I don't know what happened either. Nie Tian was also puzzled. Just when I thought I was finished, it was as if A powerful force surged from my flesh and blood. When that force burst forth,
the electric sparks Nihong had left in my body were instantly extinguished, and I was able to fight back. Nie Donghai was secretly moved and placed his hand on Nie Tian's waist and abdomen, trying to sense it. A faint wisp of spiritual energy, like a thread,
floated uncertainly within Nie Tian's body. He sensed it carefully, but found nothing. However, he unexpectedly discovered that, as Nie Tian had said, the electric sparks Nihong had infiltrated were completely gone strange.
He withdrew his hand in confusion and asked, "Afterwards, did you sense that power again?" The battle was over, and I tried to sense it carefully, but there was no trace of it. Nie Tian thought for a moment and said, "But I can be sure that the power is within me."
Only, it seems I can't use it at will. It seems to only appear at the most dangerous moment. Nie Donghai remained silent, his eyes thoughtful. After a while he slowly said, "Don't tell anyone about this." Nie Tian nodded obediently. "All right then.
Go back to your aunts. Remember, from tomorrow onwards, I'm no longer the head of the Nie family. Don't be too mischievous. Next time you have a conflict with the other children of the family, don't be too brutal." Nie Donghai said with a heavy heart, "I understand."
Nie Tian replied. Afterwards, Nie Donghai plunged into the Nie family's library, pulling out many obscure books on cultivation, attempting to find the reason for Nie Tian's unusual physical condition. Unfortunately, after reading over a dozen books,
he still had no clue. That night Nie Tian's maid, came in a panic, saying that Nie Tian had inexplicably developed a high fever. Nie Donghai hurried out of the library and went to Nie Tian's room with Han Yu. As soon as they entered,
he saw Nie Tian anxiously standing by Nie Tian's window, holding an ice pack wrapped in cloth, applying it to Nie Tian's forehead, hoping to bring down his fever. Father, seeing Nie Donghai enter, Nie Tian, like a drowning person seeing a life raft.
"I don't know what happened, but after dinner, little Tian started to have a fever. His body temperature is getting higher and higher. I'm so worried. I don't know what to do. Don't panic, let me see." Nie Donghai quickly stepped forward,
placing his rough hand on Nie Tian's chest. So hot, as soon as he touched Nie Tian's skin, Nie Donghai couldn't help but let out a soft cry. His face suddenly became serious. Something's not right, his temperature is too high. Isn't normal.
"It must have been Nihong who harmed her." Nihong, at the 6th level of Q refinement with overflowing spiritual energy, shamelessly bullied little Tian. It must be the remnants of the lightning energy within little Tian's body wreaking havoc.
Second uncle even dared to blame little Tian, forcing father to relinquish the position of family head. "I'll settle the score with them right now." Nie Tian, seething with rage, was about to confront Nie Xuanhuan. "Stay here!" Nie Donghai roared. "Father!
"They bullied little Tian. They bullied you after your injury. Your cultivation regressed. All these years, they've been pushing us around, never respecting you as the family head, constantly causing trouble. Now, they're using a child to force you to abdicate."
"It's outrageous, I can't stand it!" Nie Tian cried out. "Little Tian's high fever is our most pressing concern." Nie Donghai glared at her. "Everything else can wait. Go find the best doctors in Heian City immediately."
"I want them to bring down little Tian's fever quickly. I can feel his temperature rising." "What? His temperature is still rising?" Nie Tian panicked, abandoning her plan to confront Nie Xuanhuan. "I'll go right away." With that, she rushed out of the Nie residence,
her heart filled with anxiety. An hour later, 3 renowned physicians from Heian City gathered around Nie Tian. The 3 physicians used various methods: medicinal concoctions, acupuncture, cold compresses, trying everything to quickly lower Nie Tian's fever.
But by the middle of the night, Nie Tian's high fever persisted. The 3 physicians had exhausted all their methods, but Nie Tian remained unresponsive, his high temperature showing no sign of decreasing. "Useless, you can't even cure a simple fever."
"You call yourselves renowned physicians?" Nie Donghai gasped, his voice laced with fury. The 3 renowned physicians mumbled incoherently, unable to retort, ashamedly leaving the Nie residence. The following afternoon,
bloodshot eyes stared at yet another physician from Black Cloud City, as he dejectedly carried his medical kit out of Nie Tian's room. Nie Donghai and Nie Tian watched helplessly. Nie Donghai, who hadn't slept a wink, painfully touched Nie Tian's forehead,
discovering his temperature remained dangerously high. "Spread my word. Regardless of whether they're from Black Cloud City or elsewhere, any physician who can bring Nie Tian's fever down will receive a substantial reward." Nie Donghai roared. "Understood?"
Another day passed. All the renowned physicians of Black Cloud City, along with physicians from surrounding cities, flocked to the Nie residence, each employing their skills, hoping to lower Nie Tian's fever and claim Nie Donghai's massive reward. However,
even by nightfall, Nie Tian's high fever persisted. Nie Xuanhuan and the other senior members of the Nie family, having learned of Nie Tian's sudden illness, had come to visit one after another.
They hadn't pressed the issue of Nie Donghai relinquishing the headship at this time. Night fell. Nie Donghai and Nie Tian stared at Nie Tian, burning with fever and flushed, their faces etched with despair. Nie Tian sobbed, her words broken and fragmented.
My poor little sister, if she knew I hadn't taken good care of little Tian, she wouldn't rest easy in the afterlife. Little Tian is only 10 years old. If anything happens to him, I don't want to live either. Anyway.
Those people in the clan don't want us to live well. We might as well die together. Shut up, Nie Donghai roared. If you dare utter another unlucky word, I'll slap your mouth. Nie Tian cried. I am thinking. Nie Donghai's face was grim.
All these years, I've served Lingyan sect wholeheartedly. Now that I'm old and planning to retire, perhaps the immortals of Lingyan sect will consider my contributions and save Nie Tian. Prepare yourself. Well, take Nie Tian to Lingyan sect.
I will kneel before the sect gate and beg them to help. Okay, I'll arrange it immediately. Hope flickered in Nie Tian's eyes. She knew very well the immense power wielded by the high-ranking cultivators of Lingyan sect.
If those powerful cultivators were willing to expend their effort, Nian might still be saved. Head of the family! Head of the family! Another physician has arrived. He says he can save little Tian.
Just as father and daughter Nie Donghai were about set off for Lingyan sect, their maid, Han Yu, burst in, shouting loudly. Chapter 9, The Outsider Physician. Father, let's still go to Lingyan sect. So many physicians haven't been able to help.
I don't believe this newcomer can. Nie Tian was already distraught. Deep down, she only believed that the powerful cultivators of the lofty Lingyan sect could cure Nie Tian's strange illness. Nie Donghai also looked hesitant. For 3 days.
Not only from Haiyan City, but even renowned physicians from nearby cities had come, drawn by the enormous reward, each bringing forth their most treasured techniques. Yet Nie Tian's condition remained unchanged.
He always held the cultivators of Lingyan sect in awe, believing that only they could help Nie Tian now. Master, just as Nie Donghai frowned in thought, Han Yu timidly said, the new physician is a stranger. He said that if he fails, he will let you master.
Dispose of him as you see fit. Dispose of him as I see fit. Nie Donghai's expression shifted, knowing that all the physicians before him had failed. Yet he dared to make such a bold claim. Perhaps this man truly possessed a unique method.
Okay. Han Yu hurried away. Shortly after, a short, dark-faced old man, carrying a small medicine box, slowly walked in. The old man had a noticeable, long scar from his lower jaw to his neck.
A scar that seemed to extend deep into his chest, making him look quite ferocious and terrifying. His eyes were filled with white spots, his black pupils extremely small. Combined with the terrifying scar, he looked rather sinister and frightening.
Nie Donghai glanced at him, instantly becoming wary. He secretly sensed him with spiritual energy, but found that the old man didn't seem to be a cultivator, with no spiritual energy fluctuations in his body. Old Hamu.
I have spent many years searching for herbs in the deep mountains. Today, passing through Black Cloud City, I happened to hear that a child in this manor has a high fever. Introducing himself with a deep, hoarse voice, said slowly.
Having practiced medicine for many years, I have quite a bit of experience with many difficult and complicated illnesses. I believe I can help the little one reduce his fever. I hope Master Nie will allow me to try. Whilst
Ha must gaze went past Nie Donghai and Nie Tian, directly to Nie Tian on the bed. As he looked at Nie Tian, a strange gleam of excitement seemed to flash in his sinister eyes, where the whites far outnumbered the blacks. Are you truly confident?
Nie Donghai's face darkened as he said, before you, all the well-known physicians in the surrounding area have tried and all failed. My grandson's high fever hasn't subsided, and if he can't be treated quickly, I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on.
I was just about to leave for Lingyan sect. I don't want to waste our precious time because of your incompetence. Hua Mu withdrew his gaze, took a deep breath, and then suddenly opened them. His face resolute. If I fail to save him.
Good. Nie Donghai's expression sharpened. Don't waste words. Get me a large wooden bucket immediately. Filled with hot water, Hamu commanded. Yes, sir. Nie Donghai nodded heavily.
Immediately giving the order according to Hua Mu's instructions. Outside the door, many anxious Nie family servants rushed around in a flurry of activity. Soon, led by the maid Han Yu, servants carried in a large wooden bucket filled with hot water.
Placing it in the center of the room. Head of the Nie family, please leave with everyone else. In this room, besides myself and the child, no one else can remain. Hamu tilted his head slightly, arrogance evident on his face.
My unique method cannot be observed by anyone. It's the means of my livelihood. So please understand, head of the Nie family. Father, this won't do. I must watch Owen, protested. I said. If I can't cure him, I'll leave my head here.
Hamu rolled his eyes coldly, stating, this is the Nie family home and I'm not a cultivator, I'm an outsider. If I had malicious intent, how could I possibly survive leaving the Nie residence? Listen to him. Nie Donghai pondered for a moment.
Bowing deeply to Huamu, his eyes filled with supplication. I Donghai, thank Mr. Hua in advance. As long as Xiao Tian is all right, I will handsomely reward you. His expression unchanged. Get out, Nie Donghai roared, at his command.
Everyone in the room, including Nie Tian left. Crake. Nie Donghai personally closed the door, sat down heavily in front of it, and continuously took deep breaths to calm himself, anxiously waiting. Father.
Another physician has gone to save Nie Tian in a secluded chamber of the Nie family residence. Nie Tian tiptoed in, reporting to Nie Beichuan, who was in the midst of cultivation, leaning against a frigid black jade pillar, his body shrouded in a chilling aura.
Nie Beichuan's face was as cold as ice. He said indifferently, "There are still people coveting that paltry sum of wealth." He paused and let out a cold, disdainful laugh. He's already on his deathbed, expecting the family to wholeheartedly help him find someone.
It's not that years to find Nie Tian's biological father. I've used up all my savings. What little I have left is barely enough. That's true. Can chuckled softly, unaware that his father possessed a Lingyan sex soul reviving pill.
The soul reviving pill is a treasure. Nie Tian's strange illness, once he takes that pill, will surely be cured. Nie Hongkai is my grandson. If Nie Hong had this strange illness, I would have given him the soul reviving pill long ago.
Nie Beichuan said indifferently. Back then, when we fought for the position of family head, he was at the peak of his power. For the sake of that position, he did give me. His brainy face times change. His luck has run out, and it's my turn to rise.
That boy, I always find him a bit odd, and am still uneasy about him. Nie Tian frowned. His cultivation is far inferior, yet he still managed to defeat hunger. He's truly an anomaly. Good thing he suddenly fell ill.
He might become a hidden threat in the future. If Nie Tian dies from this illness, my elder brother's only remaining pillar of support will crumble. Soon, he will pass away as well. Once that happens, he'll have no more obstacles within the family.
Nie Beichuan's eyes gleamed with fervent desire. It won't be long. Father, I don't think you'll have to wait much longer. Nie Tian declared confidently. I think so too. Nie Beichuan replied, looking up, elsewhere.
As soon as Nie Donghai and the others left Nie Tian's room, Huamu, a physician who seemed to have appeared out of nowhere, immediately pulled out various vials and jars from his small medicine box. These containers held brightly colored liquids,
each emitting a strange and unique aroma through their stoppers. Some vials were fragrant, others emitted a pungent sour smell, while still others had a sharp, acrid odor. If Nie Donghai hadn't left, the names inscribed on those jars would have driven him mad.
Each and every one of these vials contained rare and precious medicines, their value far exceeding the reward he had offered. Huamu quickly unscrewed a stopper, pouring the azure liquid inside into a large wooden tub filled with hot water.
That so-called generous reward from you, Nie Donghai, isn't even enough for me to refine 3 drops of netherworld water, Huamu muttered, pouring every last drop of the netherworld water from the vial into the tub.
As the last drop of netherwater fell into the wooden bucket, faint azure rays lingered in the air before slowly merging into the hot water. Huamu didn't pause, proceeding to pour the contents of more medicine jars into the bucket one by one.
The liquids within those jars were all of the same caliber as the netherwater, or even more precious celestial treasures. Yet Huamu showed no pain, no hesitation whatsoever, pouring them all into the bucket without a second thought. With a light sigh,
his peculiar eyes, at close range, shone with an eerie, greenish glow as he looked at Nie Tian. Huamu's expression turned serious and earnest. He carefully reached out, placing his hand on Nie Tian's back,
gently lifting the unconscious, feverish young man. His movements were feather-light, as if afraid to cause the slightest discomfort. His demeanor suggested he wasn't holding a child, but a priceless treasure. Approaching the large wooden bucket,
he lowered Nie Tian into it with the utmost care, inch by inch, gurgling. The moment Nie Tian touched the water, the liquid infused with countless medicinal concoctions by Huamu seemed to instantly reach its boiling point, erupting into a furious boil.
Chapter Ozons and Fever Breaks. Nie Tian, unconscious, was submerged in a wooden tub. The skin exposed to the air was a feverish purple-red. Gurgles, bubbles rose to the surface, bursting quickly, releasing pale green vapor.
A strong scent of medjool filled the room. The boiling water in the tub, illuminated by the flickering candlelight, emitted a strange, verdant glow. Nie Tian let out an unconscious cry of pain in the scalding water.
His pores seemed to have been forcibly dilated, greedily absorbing the medicinal liquid. His body, already stronger than that of an average child, swelled further, as if inflated. Crackle! Strange sounds emanated from his bones and viscera.
His flesh and blood seemed to be roaring with exhilaration. A faint, visible curtain of light emanated from physician Huamu. Its gentle and gullet in the wooden tub. Rah! Nie Tian let out a sudden, agonizing cry.
Yet his anguished scream seemed unable to penetrate the subtle light barrier. Ripples like flowing water disturbed the surface of the light curtain, seemingly blocking all sound, leaving Nie Donghai, Nie Tian, and the others just outside completely unaware.
Like ghostly will-o'-the-wisps burned in Huamu's eyes, he focused intently on Nie Tian, his excited expression laced with a hint of awe. Sizzle! Threads of multicolored fire flickered in and out of the pores beneath Nie Tian's skin.
With each agonizing cry, the murky liquid in the tub gradually cleared. It seemed as if the precious medicinal concoction Xuanhuan had infused was, pore by pore, slowly melting into Nie Tian's flesh and blood, and Nie Tian's hive.
In tandem with the clearing of the potion, slowly subsided. After a long while, as the intense pain gradually faded, Nie Tian ceased his cries. The faint aura emanating from Xuanhuan dissipated, dissolving into strands of light that retreated back into his body.
The scalding hot water had long since cooled to stillness. Nie Tian, unconscious for 3 days, opened his eyes as his fever broke. At that moment, the strange light in Xuanhuan's eyes vanished. He hunched over, his demeanor calm as he said, "Old wood.
At the invitation of your grandfather has come to help you overcome this high fever." Nie Tian, still dazed and confused, mumbled, "How many days have I had a fever?" Xuanhuan replied calmly, 3 days. Nie Tian exclaimed, his face paling.
He pressed his hands against the wooden tub, about to leap out. Crack! The sturdy wooden tub, under the pressure of his hands, seemed unable to withstand the force and shattered violently. Splash! As the water spilled, Nie Tian's expression was strange.
Staring blankly at the broken pieces of wood, Xuanhuan's expression remained unchanged, as if expecting this, calmly stating, "Your strange illness hasn't been completely cured. You still need to soak in the medicinal liquid under my care for another 6 days."
Casually moving his arm, he instinctively felt that the strength this body could give him was far greater than before. "I feel fine. My fever should be gone," Nie Tian said nonchalantly. "I'm a physician.
No one else could cure your strange ailment. Only I, so you must trust me and continue the treatment as I instructed," Xuanhuan stated with unwavering certainty. "Oh, all right." Nie Tian scratched his head. "Mr. May I come in, outside?" Nie Donghai
Had heard the wooden bucket shatter and overheard Xuanhuan and Nie Tian's conversation, and could no longer contain himself. "Come in," Xuanhuan said calmly. Bang! Nie Donghai flung open the door, bursting in with Nie Tian, equally anxious.
Immediately he rushed to Nie Tian's side, placing his hand on Nie Tian's wrist. Upon discovering that Nie Tian's high fever had subsided and his temperature had returned to normal, his face lit up with unrestrained joy. Before Xuanhuan could speak,
"Hanyu, give the payment to Mr. Ah." The maid, Hanyu, holding a cloth bag filled with gold, silver, fine silks, several spirit stones, and medicinal herbs, respectfully offered it to Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan heartily accepted it,
barely glancing at the contents before casually tossing the bag into his medicine chest, seemingly unconcerned with the reward. "No need for thanks," said Nie Donghai sincerely. "Please stay at the Nie residence for a few more days."
"I will be sure to treat you well. It's not completely cured yet," Xuanhuan said, waving off Nie Donghai's offer. "For the next 6 days, I will come at this time every day, prepare a wooden bucket and hot water beforehand."
"I will use the same method to cure your grandson's strange illness." Nie Donghai's face tightened. "Not completely healed. No need to worry too much, he'll be fine." Tilting his head slightly, "I said I could cure him, and I will, today."
"I've proven myself to you, you should believe me." "Of course," Donghai hastily replied, bowing deeply again. "Then ill trouble Mr. Ha for the next few days. Mr. Ha has just arrived in Haiyun City, and you probably haven't found a place to stay yet."
"Have you? How about staying at our Nie residence? Rest assured, I will arrange the most comfortable room for you. I wouldn't dare to neglect you, sir." "No need." Xuanhuan seemed uninterested in further conversation with Nie Donghai, leaving this sentence behind.
After Xuanhuan left, Nie Tian asked incomprehensibly, "Grandpa, who was that person? And how come I've had a high fever for 3 days?" "You little rascal," Nie Tian said with heartache, tears still in her eyes.
"After the battle with Nie Hong, you developed a high fever that night. When I found you, you were already unconscious from the fever. We searched all over Haiyun City and the nearby areas for famous doctors, but none of them could cure you."
"We were about to send you to Lingyan sect when Mr. Hua suddenly appeared." She explained the whole incident meticulously, then asked, "How are you feeling now? Are you feeling weak?" Nie Tian shook his head, a strange look on his face. "No, I don't feel weak.
"On the contrary, I feel very good. No, incredibly good." "What do you mean?" Nie Donghai was surprised. "After my fever broke, I felt like I had endless energy, even stronger than before." Nie Tian chose his words carefully.
"The spiritual energy in my danshan hasn't changed, but my overall strength has definitely improved significantly. I can feel it." "Strange." Nie Donghai stared at him intently, his face clouded with doubt. "It's good you're all right. It's good you're all right."
Nie Ti tried to avoid conflicts with Nie Hong in the future. His realm is 3 levels higher than yours. His spiritual energy overflows, and yet you still insist on fighting him.
"I suspect this sudden high fever was caused by your fight with him. If you can't win, don't fight. Your realm is much lower. Losing is losing. Don't be so stubborn. I think if I fought Nie Hong again now, I could easily defeat him." Nie Tian grinned a confident,
radiant smile spreading across his face. "Still being stubborn? I don't want to see you having another high fever and falling into a coma." This time it was fortunate that Mr. Hua happened to be passing through Black Cloud City, otherwise.
Nie Tian's voice choked with sobs. If anything happened to you, your aunt would want to live anymore. If anything happened to you, I would have the face to see your mother in the afterlife. Alright, I understand. I won't act recklessly anymore.
These few days, you stay home and don't go anywhere, Nie Donghai sternly instructed, okay? Nie Tian nodded helplessly. Nie Beichuan's cultivation chamber father, that foreign physician,
Really managed to bring down Nie Tian's high fever. Nie Tian entered, his eyes gloomy, speaking in a tone filled with regret, drawing wisps of cold air from the black jade pillar behind him into his dantian. Nie Beichuan opened his eyes and said coldly,
since Nie Tian is all right, then I must speak with my elder brother. As he said yesterday, he should have explained clearly to the clan elders and voluntarily relinquished the position of family head. It's about time. Nie Tian exclaimed excitedly.
Has been occupying the position of family head, making it inconvenient for us to do many things. Things will be much better now. Although it's a bit late today, I imagine he's still awake. Nie Beichuan rose, stepped out of the secret chamber.
Chapter Zozender 11 Miraculous Dream. That night, Nie Tian, knowing that Nie Tian had suffered greatly these past 2 days, urged him to rest early, leaving after Nie Donghai in the quiet night.
Nie Tian found himself unable to sleep, sitting upright on the bed, running the Q refining technique, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate.
Thin wisps of spiritual energy entered his dantian spiritual sea with each breath Nie Tian took. Nie Tian inwardly examined himself and could clearly feel that these wisps of spiritual energy, after being absorbed into his dantian,
were vastly different from before. Previously, when he cultivated the Q refining scripture, he found that the vast majority of spiritual energy wasn't drawn into his dantian, but instead dissipated throughout his flesh and bones.
His flesh and internal organs seemed to have absorbed enough power, without forcibly seizing the spiritual energy from the heavens and earth drawn in by the Q refining scripture. As he concentrated on his cultivation,
he vaguely seemed to hear the cheers of his flesh. How strange, in a hazy state, his spiritual consciousness quietly shifted from his dantian's spiritual sea to his flesh. Points of strange light in his perception seemed to suddenly sprout from his blood.
At that instant, his soul seemed to be abruptly pulled into his blood, and his whole being became increasingly hazy. Boom! After a strange, booming sound, Nie Tian, in the midst of his cultivation,
was as if he had suddenly fallen into an ancient dream. An unknown world of lush ancient trees, giant peaks piercing the clouds, and in the depths of the void, huge demonic shadows flickered faintly. On the vast and boundless land, there were groups of giants,
carrying hundreds of meters of black giant trees, striding forward with their heads held high, singing a desolate ancient tune. A mountain thousands of kilometers high was coiled around by a giant serpent whose scales shimmered with silver light.
At first glance, the serpent and the mountain seemed to be one. The giant serpent inhaled and exhaled towards the countless stars and the moon, and the starlight and moonlight poured down like water, seemingly merging entirely into its body.
In the cloud-shrouded sky, magnificent palaces sped through flashes of lightning and thunder. From deep within the earth came a series of violent and terrifying roars. The ground cracked, revealing bottomless chasms, black and purple smoke,
mixed with vengeful ghosts and spirits, rose from the depths of these chasms. One figure after another surged into the sky from the distant horizon. These figures possessed enormous grey wings, and with a single flap, they could traverse hundreds of miles.
One unbelievable scene after another flashed through Nie Tian's dreamscape. Nie Tian felt as though he had been transported to an ancient and mysterious world, observing the wonders of heaven and earth as a mere spectator. Whoosh, whoosh!
After an unknown amount of time, Nie Tian gasped for breath, abruptly awakening from his dream. He was drenched in sweat, feeling utterly exhausted, his fingers seemingly paralyzed. What an incredible dream! What an incredible world!
Watching the flickering candlelight in the room, his eyes shone like stars, his face alight with an expression of boundless yearning and excitement. Throughout the long night, he felt no weariness whatsoever, seemingly completely immersed in the previous dream.
Unwilling to emerge from it, only when the night retreated and the rooster crowed did he finally feel the onset of sleepiness and truly fall into a deep slumber. Early that morning,
Nie Donghai proactively invited the elders of the Nie family to the family's council hall, where, in the presence of the direct and collateral elder members of the Nie family, he announced his inability to continue and relinquished the position of family head.
Big brother, you can rest assured, under my leadership, the Nie family will surely regain its former glory, Nie Beichuan declared confidently. I believe you have the ability. Nie Donghai nodded gently. Then, under the watchful eyes of the Nie family elders,
slowly walked out of the council hall. Father, outside the hall, Nie Chu had been waiting for a long time, hesitated to speak. She could see that as Nie Donghai left the hall, his eyes held a deep sense of reluctance.
Nie Donghai had been ravaged by illness for many years, losing his former vigor. Now, having stepped down from his position as head of the family, he seemed to have aged several years overnight, his whole being appearing listless and despondent. Fine.
Nie Donghai managed a weak smile. I'm just wary. Those elders have lost patience these past years. Holding on to that position would only bring us more trouble. This is for the best. Now I can dedicate all my energy to Nie Tian.
I only hope, before I die, that Nie Tian will gain the favor of the Lingyan sect and be accepted to train there. That's my last hope, my only remaining desire. Inside the hall, a clamor filled the air.
Numerous Nie family elders offered their congratulations to Nie Beichuan. Listening to Nie Beichuan's self-satisfied laughter and the fawning voices of the elders, Nie Tian felt increasingly agitated and muttered under her breath, "Before father was injured."
These elders wore the same faces they show uncle now. Times have changed. Now that father has recovered, not a single person has offered even a word of comfort. That's life. I've long since seen through it. When one is successful, everyone draws.
The doors are shut, and everyone avoids them. Nie Donghai said, shaking his head despondently. Let's go. Let them be. Let's go see that boy, Nie Tian. I hope Nie Tian can restore our honor, Nie Tian said angrily.
She knew very well that Nie Donghai now pinned all his hopes on Nie Tian. If Nie Tian could display extraordinary talent in his cultivation, perhaps Nie Donghai could rekindle his hope, even if he himself could no longer achieve anything in cultivation.
As long as he saw Nie Tian growing stronger day by day, he could persevere and live on. Nie Tian was now his entire emotional mainstay. When Nie Donghai and Nie Tian arrived at Nie Tian's side, they found him snoring loudly, still fast asleep.
Has suffered greatly these past few days. This child, it hasn't been easy. Let's wait for him to wake up, Nie Donghai said softly, gazing intently at Nie Tian. Nie Tian replied, her voice filled with heartache. Night fell. Hoa, moo.
The physician who had left the previous day arrived as promised. Mr. Ha, the tub and hot water are ready. Please, sir, continue to use your skillful hands to eradicate this child's illness, Nie Donghai said respectfully. Naturally, Hua Mu nodded slightly.
You may all leave. There's no need to wake him. Nie Donghai and Nie Tian obeyed, leaving as they had the previous day to wait patiently outside. After they left, Hua Mu, as he had done yesterday,
took out the various bottles and jars from his small medicine chest and poured their contents into the hot water in the tub. Once everything was ready, he carefully lifted the sleeping Nie Tian and gently placed him in the tub. The hot water in the wooden tub,
upon submerging Nie Tian, instantly reached its boiling point, erupting into a furious boil. Nie Tian, like a cooked shrimp, turned crimson, letting out involuntary cries of pain. Oddly, he didn't have a high fever today, yet upon entering the tub,
Ha Mu released a faint light curtain, muffling his sounds. Green, ghostly flames flickered in his eyes as he silently observed Nie Tian. When the murky medicinal water in the tub once again became clear, Hua Mu returned to normal.
The light curtain in the room disappeared, and Nie Tian slowly awoke. Thank you. Nie Tian opened his eyes, immediately feeling a surge of strength throughout his body, devoid of any fatigue. Hua Mu nodded. I will come again tomorrow with that.
He shouldered his medicine chest, ignoring the heartfelt thanks of Nie Donghai and Nie Tian, and left the Nie residence directly. For the following days, every night Nie Tian cultivated, he would inexplicably fall into a dream.
Gazing upon unbelievable miracles in that unknown world, each time he awoke from the dream he was utterly exhausted, often only falling back asleep at dawn, and Hua Mu, every night, arrived punctually.
Using his strange concoction inflict excruciating pain upon Nie Tian. The final day, Nie Tian, his whole body flushed crimson, leaped from the crystal clear water of the wooden tub and respectfully thanked Hua Mu. Hua Mu's expression was indifferent.
His question seemingly casual. Have you been dreaming every night recently? How did you know? Nie Tian exclaimed in surprise. I know the cause of your sudden strange illness, Hua Mu mused, deliberately lowering his voice. This matter.
Not even your maternal grandfather or your aunt. Why? Nie Tian asked, puzzled. Don't ask the reason, Hua Mu said sternly. As long as you promise me, I will give you a pill.
That pill can prolong your grandfather's life by 10 years. Good. Nie Tian readily agreed, overjoyed. He needed no further explanation. He could see from Nie Donghai's condition that his time was short.
Nie Donghai's deteriorating health had been a constant torment, a dark cloud hanging over his heart. He had secretly vowed that once he became strong, his first act would be to search for a cure for his grandfather.
That pill can't cure your grandfather's severe injuries, it can only prolong his life. You must understand this, Hua Mu explained. I understand. Nie Tian took a deep breath, clenched his fists and said solemnly, 10 years! Within.
I will do everything in my power to help him escape this suffering. That's the spirit. Hua Mu reached out and gently patted his shoulder, saying meaningfully, Chapter Xuanhuan, knowing cold and warmth, Grandpa. Mr. Hua left behind a pill.
He said it can give you 10 more years. Nie Tian handed the dark greenish pill to Nie Donghai. Nie Tian immediately became excited. She hurriedly turned around, attempting to chase after Xuanhuan to thank him, but Xuanhuan had already vanished.
A pill that can give me 10 more years. Nie Donghai was also invigorated. He took the pill from Nie Tian's hand and deeply inhaled its rich medicinal fragrance. If it's true, the value of this single pill farces the compensation we paid him. Why would Mr.
Hoarder business at a loss, Nie Tian exclaimed, both surprised and delighted. He said. Nie Tian hesitated, weaving a benevolent lie, that he felt a connection with me, destiny. Nie Donghai frowned slightly, feeling a little strange.
You stay here, I'll go into the city to find him. Regardless, I must thank him in person. He has been too kind to my grandson and me. With that, Nie Donghai took the pill and left. Unfortunately,
he searched Haiyun City for 2 days without finding Hongmu's trace. Hongmu vanished as silently as he had arrived. Nie Donghai, shrouded in doubt, observed for several days, seeing that Nie Tian no longer suffered from sudden high fevers.
He believed Xuanmu had no malicious intent. He thus believed that Xuanmu leaving the pill was not an attempt to harm him. So, he confidently took the strange pill. He could even name it. He immediately felt his energy and spirit improve considerably.
In the following period, whenever Nie Tian cultivated using the Q refinement scripture, he distinctly felt that the absorbed spiritual energy from the heavens no longer dissipated through his flesh and limbs.
It was as if his robust body had absorbed enough energy and no longer required additional nourishment for growth. 3 months later, Nie Tian's long stagnant cultivation finally broke through, advancing from the 3rd to the 4th level of Q refinement.
At this time, Nie Tian was also about to turn 11. To avoid causing his grandfather any trouble, Nie Tian hadn't gone to the square for his morning cultivation, nor had he caused any further incidents, most of the time.
He was diligently cultivating in his room, occasionally taking walks in Black Cloud City with his aunt, Nie Tian. One morning, during his early morning cultivation, he suddenly heard a tremendous uproar coming from the square. The noise grew louder and louder,
distracting him from his cultivation until he could no longer bear it and headed towards the square. As he approached, he saw a large gathering of Nie family elders in the square. Each elder's face was flushed with joy, as if it were a festive occasion. Wu Tao,
the instructor of the Nie family children, also wore a radiant smile, repeatedly saying the same sentence. Nie Shan had successfully broken through to the 9th level of Q condensation. 14 years old, 9th level of Q condensation.
Nie Tian was also invigorated, secretly happy for Nie Shan. He wasn't close to Nie Shan, but during his many disputes with Nie Hong and Nie Yuan, Nie Shan had always spoken fairly, unlike other Nie family members who simply sided with Nie Hong and Nie Yuan.
Because of this, although they weren't close, Nie Tian secretly held Nie Shan in high regard. Seeing Nie Shan reach the 9th level of Q condensation at the age of 14 filled him with genuine joy.
He knew very well that among all the young men of the Nie family, only the most outstanding elites could reach the 9th level of Q refinement by the age of 15 and be accepted into the Lingyan sect for cultivation. Nie Hong's 2 older brothers
had also shown extraordinary talent from a young age and had reaped significant rewards at the lottery ceremony. However, Nie Tai, even after turning 5,
failed to reach the 9th level of Q refinement and was thus rejected by the Lingyan sect. Only his elder brother, Nie Han, had successfully broken through to the 9th level at 15, becoming a disciple of the Lingyan sect. Rumor had it that Nie Han,
who had been at the Lingyan sect for several years, seemed to be doing quite well, with several members of the sect holding him in high regard.
The reason Nie Beichuan could gain the support of numerous elders in the Nie family and smoothly ascend to the position of head of the family, besides Nie Donghai's injury and subsequent decline in cultivation, was largely due to Nie Han. Good, excellent!
Nie Beichuan stood among the crowd, his gaze admiringly fixed on Nie Shan, his voice booming. I said that since I've taken this position, I will wholeheartedly dedicate myself to the family and restore the Nie family's former glory.
Nie Shan's successful breakthrough and becoming a disciple of the Lingyan sect are auspicious signs of our family's prosperity. Haha, it's all thanks to the head of the family's blessings. As soon as elder brother took office,
Nie Shan broke through to the 9th level of Q refinement. This clearly shows you are bringing prosperity to our Nie family. Under your leadership, the Nie family will surely reach even greater heights and surpass the Yun and An families in the near future.
Many of the Nie clan members offered their congratulations with smiles, as if Nie Shan's breakthrough to the 9th level of Q refinement was solely due to Nie Beichuan's efforts. Nie Shan, the central figure, was naturally surrounded by well-wishers.
But he remained calm, politely acknowledging their congratulations without displaying excessive excitement. Nie Shan, though your branch is a collateral line of the Nie family, your achievements ensure that from now on,
your mother and sister will be moved into the Nie family mansion. You just need to focus on your cultivation at the Lingyan sect. I will take care of everything else. You don't need to worry, Nie Beichuan said, aiming to win hearts and minds.
Nie Shan had only a mother and a sister. As members of a collateral branch and being women and children, they were not originally eligible to reside in the Nie family mansion. Thank you, Patriarch, Nie Tian said softly. Don't mention it. You deserve it.
Nie Tian said with a beaming smile. I've already informed the Lingyan sect about your breakthrough to the 9th level of Q refinement. This afternoon your older brother, Nie Han,
will arrive with representatives from the Lingyan sect to escort you to the sect. Once you're at the Lingyan sect, just follow Nie Han, he has everything arranged. I understand nodded. In a corner of the square, Nie Tian stood alone, watching Nie Xian.
Bathed in the glow of admiration and the ambitious Nie Beichuan, the 9th level of Q refinement. One day, I will also be taken up the mountain by the Lingyan sect. Nie Tian vowed silently. Why are you out here? Nie Tian appeared quietly, speaking softly.
This doesn't concern you. If you want to enter the Lingyan sect, you must work twice as hard. You're almost 11. And though you've recently made progress, you're still only at the 4th level. You can't waste time on irrelevant matters and...
Il Sapan said confidently. Confidence is good. Nie Tian smiled. You're upset. The Nie family will be quite lively today. Those of us who aren't welcome shouldn't stay and get in the way. Let's go.
Let's stroll around the city with your aunt. Okay, Nie Tian replied obediently. He then left the Nie residence with Nie Tian, first having lunch at a restaurant in Haiyun City, then spending the afternoon with her at the city's largest jewelry store.
Selecting a few pieces of jewelry. Oh, isn't this the eldest Miss Nie, the one discarded by our Zigo? Just as Nie Tian and Nie Chan were leaving the jewelry store, a sharp, unpleasant female voice suddenly and inappropriately cut through the air.
Nie Tian keenly noticed that his aunt, Nie Tian, trembled visibly upon hearing that voice. He followed the sound and saw a man and a woman, with a boy about his own age, slowly approaching. They were clearly also intending to buy jewelry.
The man was dressed in white, his face like warm jade, appearing quite handsome and elegant. The woman had her hair neatly done up, wearing a well-tailored green dress suit, beautiful and dignified in appearance. The boy, held by the hand of the couple,